In the shadowy world of outlaw motorcycle clubs, few names carry the mystique and resilience of the Devil's Disciples MC. Born in the gritty working-class streets of Fontana, California in 1967, this one-percenter club has weathered the storm of federal raids, RICO indictments, internal betrayals, and a constant barrage of surveillance. And yet, they're still standing. Labeled by the ATF as one of the most dangerous and secretive outlaw motorcycle clubs in America, the Devil's Disciples have been accused of running a multi-state criminal empire, drugs, weapons, and all. But somehow, even with the full force of the US government targeting them for decades, they've survived, thrived even. So how did a club born during the chaos of the 60s carve out such a lasting and defiant legacy? Why has law enforcement gone after them with such force? And what keeps them rolling through the chaos? Buckle your helmet. We're heading into the eye of the storm, the world of the Devil's Disciples MC. The Devil's Disciples MC was founded during a turning point in American biker history. The 1960s were a time of rebellion, Vietnam, counterculture, and societal upheaval. Motorcycle clubs across the country were shedding their veteran riders club image and evolving into tight-knit outlaw syndicates. On the West Coast, the Hells Angels were gaining a dangerous reputation. The Outlaws ruled the Midwest. The Bandidos were rising out of Texas, while the Pagans held down the East Coast. Amid this volatile backdrop, a new group emerged from the smoke and steel of Fontana, a blue-collar town nestled in California's San Bernardino County. But unlike some of their flashier or more expansion-driven counterparts, the Devil's Disciples didn't seek global domination. They focused on quality over quantity, a disciplined brotherhood, not a sprawling empire. This early decision shaped everything that followed. Instead of branching out recklessly, they planted deep roots in select territories: Michigan, Alabama, Arizona, states that would later become war zones in their fight with the feds. One of the most curious aspects of the club is their name, specifically the spelling of disciples with only one S, Devil's Disciples. Some claim it was a typo that stuck. Others believe it was intentional, a break from religious associations. After all, these men weren't preaching peace. They were riding for freedom, loyalty, and their own code. Their patch tells the story even better. Like most outlaw MCs, they wear a three-piece patch. The top rocker reads Devil's Disciples, the bottom, their territory, and in the center, a motorcycle wheel pierced by two crossed tridents. The wheel symbolizes freedom. The tridents? A not-so-subtle message of power, battle readiness, and defense of turf. To the initiated, it's more than just a patch. It's armor. They also use the number 44, a hidden code understood by bikers. D is the fourth letter of the alphabet. Double it and you get DD, Devil's Disciples. This kind of numerical branding is common in outlaw culture, serving as both signal and shield. Becoming a Devil's Disciple is not for the weak. The journey starts at the bottom, hang around, then prospect, then if you're lucky and loyal, full patch member. It can take years. Prospects run errands, guard bikes, earn trust, and pass tests of loyalty that few outsiders ever hear about. Once patched, you're part of a strict hierarchy and unbreakable code. You don't speak out. You don't fold under pressure. You protect the club, no matter the cost. That level of commitment has helped the Disciples survive decades of raids, indictments, and infiltrations. But it's also made them a top-tier target for the feds. In 1985, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms launched Operation One Enter, a national crackdown on outlaw motorcycle clubs operating as organized crime syndicates. The operation hit multiple clubs in 18 states. The Hells Angels, the Pagans, the Outlaws, the Bandidos, they were all on the list. But few were under the microscope quite like the Devil's Disciples, particularly their Birmingham, Alabama, and Arizona chapters. The government accused the club of running a multi-state criminal operation, trafficking meth and cocaine, moving illegal firearms, and laundering money. Key members were arrested, including Ron Douglas Nail, president of the Birmingham chapter. He and Jacqueline Odusi, a known club associate, were taken down in March 1986. Their charges? Drug and weapons distribution. Another big hit came when Johnny Bondi, a member of the Tucson chapter, was arrested for allegedly facilitating weapons transactions on behalf of the club. The feds seized an arsenal, dozens of illegal weapons, explosives, club documents, vehicles, meth, coke, you name it. This was no roadside gang. It was a logistics network with roots across multiple states. But here's the twist. The club didn't collapse. Despite the arrests, despite the weapon seizures, despite losing key leaders, the Devil's Disciples kept rolling. Their secret weapon? A decentralized structure. Local chapters had autonomy. When leaders fell, new ones stepped up. The club didn't panic. It adapted. This adaptability would prove vital in the decades that followed. Because the feds weren't finished, not by a long shot. Fast forward to the mid-2000s, the Devil's Disciples were now operating under even tighter secrecy. But law enforcement was watching and waiting. In 2006, federal prosecutors in Detroit unsealed indictments tying several Michigan-based members and associates to a methamphetamine operation. Arrests followed, 2 full-patch members and 5 others. Authorities claimed Michigan had become a narcotics hub for the club, but the real hammer came down in 2009. On June 10, 2009, in a coordinated operation, 18 individuals were arrested, including the club's national president, Jeff Fat Dog Garvin Smith, vice president Paul Anthony Paglia, and warlord Kerry Dale Van Diver. They were hit with RICO charges, the same legal weapon used against the mafia. The charges were broad: drug trafficking, illegal weapons, obstruction of justice. The raids uncovered over 40 guns, thousands of rounds of ammo, unlicensed gaming machines, and piles of drugs and cash. The government hoped this was the death blow. It wasn't. Again, new leadership emerged. Chapters reorganized, and the disciples kept riding. So what makes the Devil's Disciples so hard to kill? 3 things: secrecy, loyalty, discipline. Where other clubs chase headlines, the disciples chase silence. They rarely speak to the media. Their structure is tight. Their recruitment process filters out the weak. And most importantly, they don't break. Federal agents have long complained about the club's resistance to infiltration. Informants are rare. Leaks are even rarer. Many suspects would rather take the fall than betray the patch. That's not luck. That's culture. To law enforcement, the Devil's Disciples are a threat to public safety, a syndicate trafficking meth and guns across state lines while intimidating communities and rivals. To their supporters, they're a misunderstood brotherhood. Men who've chosen the road over the system, a family of outsiders who reject conformity and live free, no matter the cost. So, who's right? The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Yes, there's documented criminal activity. Yes, weapons and drugs have been seized. Yes, leaders have gone to prison. But the club's ability to endure for almost 6 decades shows this is not just a criminal network. It's a culture, a belief system, a tribe. As of 2025, the Devil's Disciples MC is still active. Chapters exist in Michigan, Alabama, Arizona, and other states. Despite ongoing surveillance, federal heat, and internal tensions, the club has not disbanded. In fact, in some regions, they're recruiting stronger than ever. Their patch still flies, their brothers still ride, and the ATF still watching. In a world where many outlaw clubs rise and fall within a decade, the Devil's Disciples have done the unthinkable. They've endured. They've survived RICO charges, media vilification, internal losses, and decades of full-throttle government pursuit. And they did it not by becoming the loudest, but by becoming the hardest to pin down. They are not the biggest MC. They are not the most famous. But maybe that's the point. They are the Devil's Disciples, a brotherhood forged in steel, silence, and loyalty to the patch. As long as there are men willing to ride under the radar, stand shoulder to shoulder, and defy the system, this club isn't going anywhere. If you found this deep dive into the Devil's Disciples MC compelling, hit that like button to support the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a news story from the dark corners of biker culture, organized crime, and underground history. Drop a comment below. Do you think clubs like the Devil's Disciples are misunderstood rebels or organized criminals? We want to hear your take. Thanks for watching. Ride safe, stay sharp, and we'll see you in the next one.